As developers, it is sometimes easy to get depressed because you believe that everything that has to be invented has already been invented. I myself am guilty of this sometimes. However, whenever this feeling comes rushing down the door, it is always a good thing to take a step back and realize that new apps didn't just stop coming. We have new apps every single day, like we just had a big app that popped up like Clubhouse. Now, if you're looking to make the next Facebook, then I have bad news for you. You probably won't. But all is not lost. As developers, our main goal is to make them sweet candies, and because of that, I came to the conclusion that it might be cool to show you guys some other ways of making a few bucks on the side while you work on your main project. I set the goal to get $1,000 a month using the platform Fiverr. Now, this isn't enough for some places in the world. Obviously, if you live in Silicon Valley, we will probably get you a doghouse or something like that. So depending on where you live, in my case I live in Portugal, so $1,000 is enough to live a comfortable life, depending on where you live, obviously within the country. And I guess it is like that for most of my viewers, especially those that come from Asia and whatnot. So with this goal of $1,000, last month I jumped on Fiverr and I started working. And I'm going to show you the steps that I took so that you too can be successful on Fiverr and make a reasonable living as a developer in the most easy to get into place in the world, which is this type of freelance websites like Fiverr. So yeah, let's do it. I'm SimCoder and this is how I made $1,000 in a month on Fiverr. So when I started, I searched around for other people that did the same thing that I'm doing right now on other areas and in programming as well. And I started to define a strategy to be successful on Fiverr, as it is not easy. The first thing that I realized is that I needed to have a good gig that would pop up on screens of potential clients in this case. So I started a bunch of gigs detailing different types of projects that I could do for users. So I have one for making apps, I had one to make an admin page, I had some others that were just help with Firebase structure and things like that, MongoDB, all of that. So by using this tactic, it is much easier to realize what people want and to make sure that you tackle as much area of work as possible. The prices that I chose range from $40 to $650. I believe it was the top level that I had. And obviously this is low, but I wanted to be as competitive as possible so that I could dethrone the people that have been on Fiverr for a long time. So when it comes to Fiverr, in order to stand out, you have to pick between three things. You either have to have low prices, you either have to have extremely good quality, or you have to be extremely fast while developing those projects. However, it is also important to realize that most of the work that I did, and I believe this should be the same for a lot of areas, is that well, people tend to ask for custom work. So the prices that you set in the gig are not that relevant. People will tend to ask you for some other feature that you didn't have included in your gig. So you'll create a custom order for that specific client so that you can better suit the price for the client's need. This means that you can actually dump the price a bit further, and people, because of that, will try to reach you a lot more because you'll probably end up setting a custom price anyway. However, don't go too low, because if you promise to make Facebook for $1, then people will simply lose interest and you'll get the type of attention that you don't want, which is people that don't really know what they want, they just want an app out of nothing. So keep prices reasonable. However, try to set them 10 to 20% lower than your competition. That way you will ensure that people will be attracted to you, but won't just send you a request just because. So the start is actually quite tough. After I set up these gigs, I realized that one of them was getting a lot of traction, which was just a Flutter app or React Native app. I had that in my gig that ranged from 40 to 650 bucks, and people were coming to that gig and asking me questions about it and were really interested in it. And this was because I had an appealing gig. I really put some time into the images that I wanted in my gig. I put some time into the description. I kept it as simple as possible and as welcoming as possible for all of the potential clients. Also, I had a lower price than my competition. So that means that I actually got a lot of traction. So as you can see, we have a lot of interactions with the gig. The amount of times people actually sent a message is low. However, that's not to worry. I was getting like 10 messages a day, so it is irrelevant. If you are getting to that point, then you don't really have that much more time to worry about other messages. So in the beginning, the first and most important thing to have is reviews. After you get reviews, it is actually reasonably easy to get more and more work. However, in the first project, it is kind of hard. So really put your mind to making the greatest project that you can, feel the client feel welcome and taken care of, so that you can get that beautiful 5-star review. After you get a bunch of 5-star reviews and more work that comes in, then you can start upping the price and actually make your product a bit more premium and give more attention to the clients and make bigger projects. But in the beginning, I would really advise you to make small projects for as little profit as possible, so that you can get reviews, so that clients can feel more comfortable hiring you for a job. So in the beginning, you'll probably have to work more for much less than you are used to. However, think about the long run. It will probably pay out in the end. So the first project that I had was like 2 days after I started my Fiverr account, and it was just a simple Android app where if you didn't shake the phone for some time, then it would turn the screen black. It's just that. It was a job made for $40. It took me like 5 days to get it up and running. Remember, I had some downtime because I asked the client something and he didn't reply back right away. So there was a lot of that time in the middle. However, I really wanted to make sure that the client got what the client wanted, so that I could get the 5-star review and actually start making my gig pop up a bit more in the search page. Obviously, be reasonable about this. Don't be coerced into doing a lot more work than you feel comfortable with. That's really important, because that's one of the things I've found about Fiverr that were not that great, is that clients tend to be really aggressive and try to coerce you into doing something that you don't want. That's not good, so yeah, keep that in mind. Then, after I got that 5-star review for that first project, I got bombarded with messages. That's the power that a review system can have. If you have just one 5-star review, then people will flock to you in no time whatsoever. Obviously, that's not the be-all, end-all. You also have some other parameters within Fiverr that are really important, like answering within a reasonable amount of time. Always try to keep your answer time for any new message to an hour or something like that, as it is the lowest that it can go, and it will make your potential customers feel like you'll take care of them right away. Also, make sure you try to cancel as little orders as possible. Again, keep this within reason. If people ask you to make Facebook for $1, then well, give them the finger, I guess. And then obviously don't get any warnings and get 5-star reviews. Those are the main parts of a good Fiverr gig and a good Fiverr profile. So because I took care of all of that and I was maxed out on all of those parameters, I quickly got my biggest gig, which was for $722. This was a project similar to Instagram, made with React Native, which was great because I already sell an Instagram clone app in my website. So that means that I already had the base. However, I needed to do a lot of customization for this particular customer. Hence, I only felt comfortable doing that for that price, as it was something that took close to 2 weeks to 3 weeks, I believe, maybe in between them. So it was great to feel like I was doing something that was really relevant. And on top of that, having made a series on Instagram and it was really fresh on my mind, it was really easy to get into. That's another thing as a developer. After you make so much projects and you have so much code written out, you'll probably end up, after like 20 to 30 projects, only copy and pasting code that you have already done into the current project that you are working on, because you already have almost everything done and written out somewhere. Okay, so one other thing that's important to talk about is the gig. So make sure you have an appealing title, an appealing first image into the gig, and for that you can even hire Fiverr designers for that. I didn't have to, but if you don't have any design skills or you don't know any designer in your area that you usually work with, hire on Fiverr. From what I could see, they are reasonably cheap and they make really amazing work. So make sure, especially the first image, is as appealing as possible. And then the next 2 pictures, like I did, I shown some mock-ups of apps that I did, so that people get a feeling for what I do right away. Also, one thing that I found was really helpful was to have your own face on the first image, and this is because people feel connected to you, I believe. It is always good to know the person that you are working with. So try to take care of that, make an appealing first image and an appealing title, then a description that where you tell exactly what you do in clear terms, and you'll be set. So that's all you have to do to make sure people will actually click on your gig if you appear on the search page. Okay, so after that big project, I got another project which was for the first guy that I had worked with, and he came back because he wanted to add a couple more things. So that project was basically around the same price, and it was just some tweaking around, so nothing to worry about. But yeah, it was just another free 5-star review, and it was awesome. And unfortunately, I didn't get a 5-star for the 700 and something project because the customer took some time to see the project and whatnot. And Fiverr, whenever the client doesn't rate you until 3 days after the deliver, then the client is no longer able to rate you. So that's not great, and that was a 5-star review that was lost. However, I didn't care. I had already 2 5-star reviews, so it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I was starting to get my name picked up by a lot of people. And then, because I wanted to reach $1,000, I jumped head on first into a project that was actually much harder than I thought, and not because of the difficulty of the project, because it wasn't that difficult. However, the client was not that helpful, and it was one of the worst sides of working as a freelancer. Sometimes the clients are rude, they don't understand what you are saying and don't want to understand what you're saying. And I know the client is always right, and you should always be as nice as possible to any client that you work with. However, again, don't be coerced into a job that you don't want to do. Okay, so this project was for $300, and it was going to reach my $1,000 mark, as I really wanted to reach that. And the client wanted a meditation app where you had a feed with images, and then when you click on those images, you could watch a video for meditating. So easy enough. Using some services like Firebase and whatnot, it was easy to get into. However, the client wanted this made in 30 days. So the deadline was quite short, and then there were some problems with communication, and then a lot of things happened, but I'm not going to jump into that right now. I'm making a video regarding the worst parts of Fiverr to be released maybe next month. So yeah, stay tuned for that, subscribe so that you don't miss that video. Just keep in mind that customers are not always nice and easy to work with. And when that happens, Fiverr will probably not be on your side. Fiverr tends to look out for the clients, which you aren't the client, you work for Fiverr basically. The client is the people that actually buy your work. And from what I can see online, a lot of people feel that way. So yeah, keep that in mind. So my final advice for this, and to avoid this type of misfortunes, is to actually really talk to your customer and lay down every single thing that you are going to do and how everything is going to work before you actually accept an offer. And one final thing, so did I made $1,000? Well, on Fiverr it said so, and from the gigs that I did, if you sum them up, then it gives actually more than $1,000. It is like $1,100 or something like that. However, there's a big asterisk with Fiverr. They charge you 20% for every single gig that you do. So yeah, 20% goes straight to Fiverr, and then you have to pay taxes in whatever country you live in. So I mean, you end up paying a lot for each and every single gig. However, it is really easy to get into. So I strongly advise you, if you have the time to do it, start it up. And if you don't want to accept any offer, then don't accept. However, it is always good to keep the area where you are as a developer as broad as possible, so that if by any chance you see a project that you like, you are able to take it no matter where you are. So my final advice is just to not be afraid of it. Fiverr is a great place if you manage to crack through the search algorithm to actually make a decent living while you're working on your main project. So yeah, I guess that's all. If you have any questions about Fiverr or anything else, just leave them down below and I'll try to answer them. And if you like this type of video, then please do leave a like so that I know that you liked it, so that I can make more on this topic or any other topic that you want. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Ciao!